The story begins in Iraq, where a group of Marine officers has been captured by terrorists. Their situation looks hopeless, and time is quickly running out. Just then, we meet John, a fearless Marine who wasn't even authorized to be there. Ignoring orders, he decides that saving his teammates is more important than following protocol. Without wasting a second, John launches a surprise attack. One by one, the terrorists rush toward him, but John skillfully takes them down and fights his way through the entire area. After securing the location, he successfully rescues all of the captured Marines and brings them back safely. You'd expect him to be welcomed as a hero, right? Unfortunately, that's not what happens. Instead of praising him, his senior officers are furious because he carried out the mission without permission. They see his actions as disobedience rather than bravery, and before long, John is informed that he is being discharged from the Marines. With no other choice, John returns home. His wife is overjoyed to see him. She knows how difficult this transition is for him, so she comforts him and says, "I know this is a hard time for you, but I'm here with you. I just want us to spend more time together and start living a normal life." Slowly, John tries to adjust to civilian life. But after years of serving as a Marine, sitting at home isn't something he can get used to. He needs a job, so he accepts work as a security guard. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, we're introduced to a dangerous criminal named Rome. Rome arrives at a luxury jewelry store where the rest of his crew is already waiting. He calmly looks around at the expensive diamonds and priceless jewelry, and then, without warning, the robbery begins. His team quickly takes control of the store while his partner, Bennett, keeps everyone under control. They try to break through the glass protecting the diamonds, but after several failed attempts, they realize the display cases are completely bulletproof and can only be opened from the inside. Thinking fast, Rome grabs a woman and threatens the people inside, demanding that they unlock the security system. Fearing for everyone's safety, they finally open the door. But then comes a shocking twist. The woman they believed was a hostage is actually part of the gang all along. Her name is Jalvi, and she immediately helps the robbers take control of the situation. Rome walks into the vault area and orders one of the employees to pack all the diamonds into bags. The employee does exactly that, and within minutes, the crew has collected everything they came for. Just as they're about to leave, another employee quietly suggests that they should create more chaos so nobody suspects he helped them from the inside. But Rome has a different plan. Instead of rewarding him, he immediately eliminates the loose end, making sure there are no witnesses who could expose the gang. The crew then heads outside, only to discover that the police have already surrounded the building. A massive shootout breaks out as Rome's gang tries to escape. Police vehicles continue arriving from every direction, but another gang member named Morgan steps in. Using an explosive, he destroys one of the police vehicles, creating enough confusion for the gang to escape. Soon afterward, investigators and the media arrive at the scene. As detectives examine the robbery, they quickly realize that someone inside the jewelry store must have been working with the criminals. Elsewhere, John is struggling with his new job as a security guard. He finds the work painfully boring and misses the excitement of his Marine days. His co-worker Joe feels completely differently. Joe enjoys the easy routine and often tells John to relax and appreciate the job. One day, an extremely wealthy businessman enters the building with 2 bodyguards. After signing in, he heads upstairs. Joe jokes with John, telling him to enjoy the peaceful job, but John shakes his head. "I wasn't made to sit around all day," he says. Joe laughs and replies, "Most people would love a job like this. We get paid just for watching the building. If we stayed home instead, the bills would still be waiting for us." Their conversation is interrupted when they receive a call reporting a disturbance on the 12th floor. The 2 security guards immediately head upstairs. There they find the wealthy businessman arguing with his ex-girlfriend who works in the building. Furious that their relationship has ended, he's creating a scene and making threats. John calmly tries to de-escalate the situation, while Joe also attempts to reason with him. Instead of calming down, the man becomes even more aggressive and starts insulting them. Joe finally escorts him downstairs to the lobby. As soon as the businessman reaches his bodyguards, he starts provoking them again. This time, John completely loses his patience. Acting on instinct, he forcefully throws the man out of the building, sending him crashing through the glass entrance. The bodyguards rush toward John, but Joe quickly jumps in, and together they overpower them. It doesn't take long for building management to hear what happened. Rather than appreciating their actions, they fire both John and Joe on the spot. Now unemployed, the 2 friends sit outside the building. Joe looks at John and says, "Don't let this destroy you. You need to stop living in the past. Accept the fact that you're no longer a Marine. This is your life now, and you're living among ordinary people. You can't respond to every situation the way you did on the battlefield. The sooner you accept that, the easier your future will be." John is deeply upset after losing his job. Even though he tries not to show it, it's obvious that he's struggling to accept how quickly his life has changed. Meanwhile, we cut to Rome, who has arrived at a hotel with Angela. Angela admits that today's robbery terrified her and says she's still shaken by everything that happened. Rome calmly reassures her. "There's nothing to worry about," he says. "The manager made a mistake. He was talking too much, and And if people had learned who I really was, it could have caused problems. That's why I made sure he couldn't expose us. Now there's nothing left to worry about. Back at home, Joe drops John off and leaves. John doesn't tell his wife, Kate, what happened at work because he doesn't want her to worry. But later that evening, while they're watching TV together, the news begins covering the incident. The surveillance footage shows John throwing the aggressive businessman through the building's glass entrance. That's how Kate discovers that John has been fired. John apologizes, but Kate gently stops him. "You don't have to say sorry," she tells him. "I know how difficult this is for you. You just need a little time to adjust. Things will get better, and no matter what happens, I'll always be by your side." Then she suggests something that surprises John. "Why don't we take a vacation? Maybe getting away for a while will help." After thinking for a moment, John agrees. The very next day, the couple packs their bags and begins their road trip. After driving for some time, John realizes they're running low on fuel, so they stop at a nearby gas station. While Kate waits outside, John heads into the convenience store to grab some snacks. By pure coincidence, Rome's gang has also stopped at the very same gas station. Rome is filling up his vehicle while Angela waits nearby. Just then, a police car pulls into the station. The moment the gang notices the officer, they become visibly nervous. The officer walks over to Rome and casually starts asking a few questions. For a few seconds, everything seems perfectly normal, but suddenly, Morgan appears from behind and attacks the officer without warning. Within moments, the peaceful gas station turns into complete chaos. The sound of gunfire echoes across the area. Hearing the commotion, John immediately rushes outside to see what's happening. Before he can react, someone strikes him from behind, knocking him unconscious. With John unable to stop them, Rome's gang realizes that Kate has seen their faces. Kate desperately tries to lock herself inside the station, but the gang forces their way in. Following Rome's orders, they abduct her and speed away. As they're leaving, John slowly regains consciousness. Through his blurry vision, he sees the gang driving off with Kate inside the vehicle. Before escaping, the criminals set the gas station on fire, triggering a massive explosion. John knows the entire station could explode at any moment, but he has only one thing on his mind: saving his wife. Without wasting a second, he jumps into the abandoned police car and begins chasing the kidnappers. While driving, he radios for backup, informing the police that several officers have been injured and that emergency assistance is urgently needed at the gas station. Meanwhile, inside the gang's vehicle, Angela searches through Kate's belongings. That's when she discovers something important. Kate's husband is a former Marine. The entire gang immediately realizes that this could become a serious problem. Not long afterward, John catches up with them. The gang immediately opens fire in an attempt to stop him, but John refuses to give up. He skillfully avoids one attack after another, staying right on their tail. Realizing they can't shake him, the gang deliberately rams John's vehicle, hoping to force it off the road. His SUV slides down the hillside, but somehow John manages to regain control and climbs back onto the road. The chase continues. A few moments later, John's vehicle crashes into a large machine parked beside the road, ripping off the roof of his SUV. The gang continues firing at the damaged vehicle. Soon, flames begin spreading through John's SUV, making it harder and harder to control. Finally, the burning vehicle loses balance, crashes through the roadside barrier, and plunges into the river below. The SUV begins sinking beneath the water. Rome's gang stops to watch from above. Everyone assumes John couldn't have survived. Seeing this, Kate screams in despair. Angela raises her weapon toward Kate, but before she can do anything, Rome stops her. "Don't touch her," he says. "We still need her alive." At the same time, one of the gang members loses his temper and starts blaming Morgan. "Are you out of your mind? Because of you, our vehicle is badly damaged. You create problems every time you start shooting without thinking." Morgan explodes with anger. He grabs the man and slams him onto the hood of the vehicle. Before the argument gets any worse, Rome steps in and separates them. "This isn't the time to fight each other," he says firmly. "Our priority is selling the diamonds. Once the deal is done, we'll leave this country immediately. That's all we need to focus on." The story then shifts back to the destroyed gas station. A detective named Frank arrives and carefully examines the entire crime scene. After studying the evidence, he asks the officers, "Who called this incident in?" They explain that a man named John contacted the police before chasing the kidnappers. Frank immediately begins tracking John's police vehicle. The trail eventually leads him to the river, where the wrecked SUV is partially submerged underwater. As he's inspecting the scene, someone suddenly speaks from behind him. It's John. Against all odds, he's still alive. As Detective Frank realizes the man standing behind him is John, he immediately lowers his weapon. John doesn't waste a second. "They have my wife," he says. "Her life is in danger. I have to save her no matter what." Frank tries to calm him down. "Those people are extremely dangerous. My team is already tracking them. Just wait. We'll catch them." But John shakes his head. "I can't trust anyone with this. I'm going after them myself." Frank repeatedly tries to stop him, but John refuses to listen and disappears into the forest alone. Meanwhile, Rome and the rest of his gang gang are also moving through the wilderness. Their vehicle has broken down, forcing them to continue on foot. Surrounded by dense forest with a river nearby, they decide to wait there for one of their associates, the man who is supposed to buy the stolen diamonds. Kate, however, refuses to stay quiet. She keeps shouting for help, making it harder and harder for the gang to control her. At the same time, tensions inside the group begin to rise. One of the gang members argues with Morgan, blaming him for creating unnecessary trouble during the escape. This time, Morgan completely loses his temper. He reaches for his weapon, and the other man does the same. Seeing the situation spiral out of control, Rome immediately steps between them. "I already told you," he says. "Now isn't the time to fight each other," but neither of them is willing to back down. Without hesitation, Rome makes a ruthless decision and removes the source of the conflict himself. The argument ends instantly. Even after that, Rome can't relax. He keeps calling the buyer, hoping to complete the diamond deal as quickly as possible so the gang can escape the country. But with every unanswered call, he begins to suspect that his own partner may be planning to betray him. Meanwhile, John continues tracking the kidnappers through the forest. By now, the police have also reached the area. Officers are searching the river while helicopters scan the forest from above. John knows military tracking techniques better than anyone. Instead of wandering aimlessly, he carefully studies the footprints left behind on the muddy ground and follows them one step at a time. Eventually, he reaches the spot where one of the gang members was left behind. There, he finds a knife lying on the ground. Without hesitation, John picks it up and continues following the trail. He runs deeper into the forest, determined not to lose their tracks. At one point, thick branches block his path. Using the knife, he cuts his way through and keeps moving forward. Suddenly, an armed man steps out of the trees and points a weapon directly at John. "Are you a cop?" the stranger demands. John immediately knocks the weapon aside and holds the knife at the man's throat. "I'm not a police officer," John says. "I'm only here to rescue my wife." Before he can say anything else, another man sneaks up from behind and strikes him, causing John to lose consciousness. Sometime later, John slowly opens his eyes. He finds himself tied up inside a small cabin. Both his hands and feet have been restrained. He soon realizes that the people holding him captive are involved in drug trafficking, which explains why they're terrified of the police. The moment they notice John is awake, they accuse him of being an undercover officer. Thinking quickly, John comes up with a bluff. "I'm not here alone," he tells them. "The police implanted a tracking device in my body. If I don't check in soon, dozens of officers will come looking for me." The smugglers immediately panic. John uses that brief moment of hesitation to launch a surprise attack. He knocks the first man unconscious almost instantly. The second man rushes toward him, leading to a fierce hand-to-hand fight inside the cabin. After a hard struggle, John finally overpowers him as well. With both men defeated, John escapes into the forest, but outside, he realizes something terrible. During the fight, he lost the kidnapper's trail. Finding Kate is now going to be much harder. Refusing to give up, John searches the forest once again. After covering a long distance, he finally discovers fresh footprints. Relieved, he follows them all the way to the edge of a river. Across the water, he spots an isolated house. Hidden among the trees, he watches as Rome's gang enters the building. This is where they're planning to stay until the diamond deal is completed. Inside the house, Kate is being held captive. Quietly, she begins working on the ropes binding her hands. Because it's already dark outside, Morgan heads downstairs to start the building's old generator. The moment the lights come on, John attacks. Morgan is incredibly powerful, and an intense fight breaks out between the two men. Both land heavy blows, refusing to back down. The battle pushes each of them to their limits, but in the end, John's combat training gives him the advantage. He finally defeats Morgan, ending the fight. Upstairs, Rome is once again trying to contact his buyer. This time, the call finally connects. Rome orders him to bring a vehicle immediately so they can leave before the police arrive. The buyer agrees. Meanwhile, Bennett heads outside to prepare the boat that will carry them across the river. The moment Bennett steps outside, John sees him. Without making a sound, John charges straight toward him. Another brutal fight begins. Bennett is highly skilled, but John has years of military experience. Every move Bennett makes, John seems ready for. After an exhausting battle, John finally gains the upper hand and defeats him as well. Just then, Detective Frank arrives at the scene. He tells John, "You don't have to do this alone anymore. My team is here now. We'll take care of the rest and arrest everyone." Frank urges John to stay calm, but before anyone can move, the lights inside the house suddenly go out again. Darkness spreads through the entire building. Using the confusion to her advantage, Kate manages to escape outside. Angela notices immediately and rushes after her. Within seconds, she catches up to Kate and grabs her before she can get away. Meanwhile, Kate and Angela get into a fierce fight as Kate desperately tries to escape. The two struggle through the darkness, refusing to back down. Realizing she's losing control of the situation, Angela pulls out her weapon and points it directly at Kate. At that exact moment, John finally reaches the house. He crashes through a window and lands inside. Rome instantly points his weapon at John. Before either of them can make a move, move, another man suddenly steps into the room. It's the mysterious buyer. He also raises his weapon, and for a few tense moments, all three of them stand frozen, waiting for someone else to act first. Then comes another shocking twist. The buyer reveals that he has been working with Rome all along, but instead of helping him, he demands the diamonds for himself. "Give me the diamonds," he says. Rome refuses. "First, get rid of him," he replies, pointing toward John. "Then the diamonds are yours." The partnership falls apart instantly as both criminals begin arguing over the loot. John realizes this is the opportunity he's been waiting for. The moment they become distracted, he dives behind cover. Gunfire erupts across the room, but John manages to escape outside before either of them can stop him. Outside, he grabs Kate and starts running towards safety. John shoots at a nearby fuel tank. Within seconds, flames spread throughout the building. Moments later, a massive explosion tears through the entire house. John and Kate barely escape in time by diving through a window. Meanwhile, Rome reaches his vehicle. He locks Kate inside the trunk and speeds away. Just then, members of the Coast Guard arrive at the scene and rescue John from the riverbank. One of the officers tries to stop him, but John quickly takes control of a patrol boat and continues chasing Rome. At the same time, Rome realizes the police are closing in. "We need another vehicle," he tells Angela. Angela walks onto the highway and signals a passing truck to stop. As soon as the driver steps out, she takes control of the vehicle, and the gang drives away in the truck. While racing across the river in the patrol boat, John hears a police radio broadcast. A truck has just been stolen, and its registration number and location are being shared with every responding unit. John immediately changes course and heads straight toward the truck. After some time, police vehicles begin surrounding the truck from multiple directions, forcing Rome to focus on escaping. Using the distraction, John climbs onto the moving truck without being noticed. As soon as he gets inside, he pushes Angela out of the vehicle, removing one more obstacle from his path. Rome immediately turns his attention toward John. Before he can attack, Kate manages to interfere, knocking his weapon away. Furious, Rome deliberately crashes the truck into a nearby building. The impact throws John onto the ground, while the truck becomes badly damaged and catches fire. Realizing the truck is about to explode, Rome jumps out and runs. The burning truck continues rolling forward on its own before crashing into the river. John rushes after it, but before he can reach the water, Rome attacks him from behind. A brutal final fight begins. John gains the upper hand and repeatedly knocks Rome back. Suddenly, heavy debris falls from the damaged building, striking John and leaving him injured. Seeing his chance, Rome grabs a heavy metal object and begins attacking John. John struggles to defend himself, but he refuses to give up. During the fight, he spots a large chain lying nearby. He grabs it and wraps it around Rome, pulling him off balance. John knows the damaged building could collapse at any moment. He escapes just before another massive explosion destroys what's left of the structure. Rome is caught inside the blast. Without wasting another second, John dives into the river and swims toward the sinking truck. Inside, he finds Kate unconscious and still trapped. He tries opening the door, but realizes she's been handcuffed inside. Using all of his strength, John tears the damaged door open and pulls Kate out of the vehicle. She isn't responding. John desperately tries to wake her. After several tense moments, Kate finally regains consciousness. Relieved, John hugs her tightly. But the danger isn't over yet. Against all odds, Rome survives the explosion. Burned and barely able to stand, he staggers toward John, carrying a heavy chain. He wraps it around John's neck and tries to overpower him. John fights back with everything he has left. The two struggle one final time until John turns the chain against Rome, bringing him to the ground. With that, Rome is finally defeated. The nightmare is over. John rushes back to Kate and the two embrace, grateful to be alive. Moments later, police officers arrive and secure the scene. With John and Kate finally safe together, the story comes to an end.